One thing that I think is fun, one thing that I think is really useful, we've talked about it in the past, is doing an inventory. We talked about it last episode, doing an inventory that was about emotions, but doing a year in review. I've done it a couple of years now. This will be the third year I've done it. A year in review where you dig through a specific set of questions to think back over the year that you just had and kind of think forward to what kind of year you want to have. And this is not, there is goal setting and stuff involved in here, but it's not strictly that. I think these are really handy questions. So I wanted to run you guys through some of this. Josiah, Dante, in the last year, 2023, what was the best meal you've eaten?
The best meal, this is an easy one to answer on a year-over-year basis. Thanksgiving.
Wow. I mean, it is great. I do enjoy Thanksgiving, but I had to go with paella in Barcelona. We summered in Spain this past year.
Yeah.
That's not true. We went there for a week and it was amazing. But
braggart is what you said to me a few episodes ago. Braggart.
Yeah,
look.
Yeah, unless it's a big trip. I don't know. Like we went to Philly for a wedding. Food's the same.
Yep.
Unless you get a cheesesteak or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like my diet has become so predictable that I kind of like that. It's like the Steve Jobs shirt thing. Like it's just become so
one less thing to think about.
One less thing to think about. I like my ground turkey, ground meat, veggie mixes, eggs with cottage cheese, and Thanksgiving stands out. So unless we summer in Spain, I'm not sure that I'm gonna.
Yeah, and I would venture to say, best meal always includes, well, like you're saying, are we on a trip? What's the environment?
Right.
Is it just a really great conversation I'm having with my wife and we're sharing a bottle of wine and you know, like what is the
like not your favorite, did your favorite food change? Is this your fourth grade recap?
Right. Yeah. And then the other one that I had to pull out of here was favorite concert. Did you guys go to any concerts this year?
Well, I didn't go to many, but I saw DJ Seinfeld in Pittsburgh.
DJ Seinfeld?
Yes. He's not the most well-known, but he's awesome. And it was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I like all that dance music.
Yes, you do.
You know how we do it.
Josiah?
I don't know that I have an answer for this. I don't know that I went to any concerts. I probably did, but I can't remember.
Oh,
good answer. Good answer.
That's all right. I have two answers, so I'll help you out here.
Peter Gabriel.
Oh man, spoiler. Yes, it was Peter Gabriel in Pittsburgh at the PPG Arena.
Because I didn't have one, I wanted to spoil yours.
Life altering. It was so good. Anyway, that's the first part of this. There's a whole bunch. There's like 15 questions of the best of the year. So you can kind of dig through and remember some of this stuff and write it down for posterity's sake. Then it goes into the review. And this is what I really enjoy about this process. It breaks everything down into career, relationships, health, and personal growth. So there's kind of 4 big categories trying to cover everything. You can add or subtract. You can change your own. You can, whatever you want, throw them in there. But the questions and thinking about them in a narrowed, defined way is what I always find really helpful. All right, so starting with health, what went well this year?
Early 2023.
Yep.
It was a performance-oriented accomplishment, I guess. Did better in the Open and the CrossFit Open and CrossFit quarterfinals from 2022 to 2023.
Yeah.
So a little bit of an improvement.
That's fantastic. Then the next question is immediately, why?
Well, I managed to stay, I know this is health centered, but I managed to stay healthy enough and injury-free long enough to build enough training volume. And so just, punching in enough times from the opening quarters of 2022 to 2023, got enough of that done, enough of that in, that it manifested itself in a little bit of a higher position on the leaderboard.
So what did you learn? That's the third question in each segment. What did you learn from that?
Something we talk about often, actually. It's more important to keep showing up than it is to knock it out of the park every time.
That's awesome.
In the show, this show taught me that same thing.
Yeah.
You never know what clicks. You never know when the day is that you're going to show up and it's a home run or it's a, personal best on a lift. So you show up and you stop trying to predict it And again, you build enough of those sessions and enough of the momentum that eventually there's some sort of progress made.
Yeah. Josiah, what about you? Any big, what went well in your health this year?
I'd say I ran the half marathon again, second year in a row.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to. It was a goal.
Half marathon's a long way.
It is.
Why did that go well?
It didn't go as well as the year before.
Okay.
But it went well in that my goal was I want to do it again.
There you go.
And why did it go well? Because I think, not to piggyback on what Dante just said, but keep showing up. I run with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So just another form of kind of carryover from our last podcast, just friendship, deep friendship, kind of holding each other accountable, running. You talk a lot on your run, which helps your cardio.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of stuff in there, but
yeah, that for me, it's the same thing as well. I've never gone to the gym consistently for an entire year. So having done that for now more than a year, that is without question the thing that went best for me.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Why did it go well? Because I had a friend, because I had somebody that I expected to be there and that expected me to be there and that was disappointed when I didn't show up.
And Tyler.
Yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that I can't do it alone. I do not have the self-control to keep showing up at the gym, because when my partner isn't there, I know for a fact that I do not hit it as hard. I don't work as hard. It's much easier for me to let myself off the hook with different things. So I have to have somebody else with me. And then after each of these big chunks where you're talking about personal growth, health, relationships, and career, there are a set of questions beyond that says, what habit or system accounted for most of my success and why? Another question is, are there any opportunities to double down? What are the most valuable ways that I'm spending my time? How can I allocate more time to those areas? What brought me the most happiness? How can I ensure that these activities happen more often? Who are the people that had the greatest impact on me?
This is great stuff.
Yeah, it's really good.
Isn't it good?
This is really good. Again, not to keep harping and
keep harping down there.
Keep harping. Not to keep harping, but or continuing on from our last episode. But as you said at the outset of this one, just take an inventory of your feelings, your emotional feelings, in pertaining to last episode. But then this is like, you sit down to spend time doing work to this. But when you start to highlight these areas of what was successful, what led to growth, what led to success, what pulled you away from that, what distracted you.
Yeah.
These are tools to help you in the upcoming year.
I love that it asks, what did I learn? Because it's not just, it forces you to close the loop, to take the process to its end and go, oh, the point is, my opportunity for growth here is, the thing I can pull out of this is, I need a partner. Now we get into we'll go back a second. Who are the people that had the greatest impact on me? I can tell you because I wrote it down. It'd be you guys. Doing the show has been pretty substantial for me. My health, obviously. It's been an exciting adventure, and I just wanted to make a point of saying that. So thank you guys for an incredible 2023. I'm looking forward to 2024 because I expect more. I expect the doubling down to happen where you guys help me to be a better person, because that's what this show is really all about.
Wow.
What are the most valuable ways that you're spending your time, Dante?
The most valuable way that I'm spending my time is still in relation to physical health.
Interesting. Personal
physical health. Yeah. There's just, it takes, it takes a lot to knock me off the wagon, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's, we get our grocery shopping done, generally get lunches ready.
Yep.
The gym is set up. I have some equipment here at home that makes it easy not to miss.
Yep.
The gym that I travel to is not the furthest necessary. So things are set up in such a way that I don't miss that frequently, thank God.
Yeah.
So one of the lessons in just talking about this so far is that there are other aspects, whether it's personal growth or relationships or career.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to pick. It would be nice to unpack this a little more to see what about that I can extrapolate
You got some
over
time
to those other areas that need work.
I was just going to say, because it sounds like the answer to the next question, which is there room to double down? Are there opportunities to double down? When it comes to your health, probably not a ton. You're already doing about as much as you can, reasonably speaking, while also having a career and a family and all those other things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So looking for other places where you can double down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to say that without sounding,
but no,
pretentious or whatever.
No, but I don't think so. I think everybody knows that you spend a lot of time.
And it's not necessarily about, you have the strongest bench press or you have the fastest mile time. It's just that the behaviors, they've become very much automatic.
And that's what this is about behaviors, about doing what we can to control those sorts of things. After the successes, which are fun to think through, then of course there's a section on what it calls it in here, lessons. So in your career, in your relationships, in health, and in personal growth, what didn't go so well this year? It's not asking what's a failure. It doesn't ask, where did you totally screw things up? What didn't go so well? Why? And what did I learn? Do you have do you have anything you want to volunteer that didn't go so well? This is very personal.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it can help somebody.
Yeah. Go for it.
It felt like I was distracted at times throughout this year. More so, there's certain things I wanted to focus on with career specifically, that there were some side things that ended up being more distracting than anything and took me away from just certain things that I wanted to be focused on. So it was more of a lesson. I know that's vague, but
it's the way this sort of thing has to be sometimes.
Yeah. It's just that,
what was the lesson? Excuse me. What was the lesson you pulled out of that?
The lesson is, as much as we want to be experts in a bunch of different things, sometimes it's okay to slough a couple things off. Focus on one or two things or three things that are maybe, not necessarily the biggest bang for your buck in terms of career advancement, let's say.
Sure.
But what's going to help you tick the most? What are things that you genuinely feel passionate about? What are things that look like shortcuts? What are things that fall in that category as opposed to stuff that when I do, you enter your flow state or you enter, a place where you want to be, you can extract meaning from it. And a lot of this can definitely become a bit nebulous, but it's just reducing the amount of things that you think you can prioritize everything.
Yeah.
This seems to be a common theme for me from year to year. So doing this, 2023 audit helps face that a little bit.
That's absolutely one of the things I gain out of this is going, I see my priorities. I know my priorities. I know what I say is most important.
Yep.
And then I look at what I did and what I didn't do and what I succeeded on and where I utterly crashed and burned. And I go, maybe my stated priorities and my revealed priorities aren't lining up. How do I tweak this? How do I change this? Where are my opportunities to double down? I know for me, one of the things that didn't go so well, and I'll try to be as vague as possible, is relationships. And I have 4 kids. 2 of them are adults. 2 of them are still at home. And the transition between children and adults as a parent is a really weird one. I was not prepared I thought I was prepared for some of this transition. I thought I had, a great idea of how this was going to work. And then it didn't work that way. And it wasn't until it was almost over, the initial transition of kids moving out and stuff. It wasn't until it was almost over that I finally got some great advice from some really good friends who are older, who've been through it. And they said, so in our situation, it was specifically, I'm still trying to parent. I'm still trying to parent my kids. And they're 18 and 20. They're not interested in me parenting them anymore, And when they tell me about XYZ happening in their life, they're not telling me because they want advice.
Yeah.
They're telling me because they want me rooting for them. and I am rooting for them. It's just hard for me to turn off that advice giving part of my brain.
Wow.
And this friend very wisely said, just be their cheerleader. Just be really excited. It doesn't matter that you're not into hair metal. They are. One of them is. Be really excited for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Because that's what I would want my dad to do for me. So that's been an area that I have grown, and one of the lessons that I've taken out of this.
Yeah. To put it crudely, the shut up and listen sort of advice. Man, I see that in pharmacy. I see that in, more of a clinical setting. Like it's such good advice.
Yep.
It's such a profound way to help someone figure out what they need to figure out on their own.
Yeah.
And
because that is the goal, of course, is parenting is like, I want you to be able to do this on your own. I don't want you to need my advice. And then after that section about those 4 categories, what didn't go so well, why, and what did I learn? Then there's a bunch of additional review questions to think back through that. What did I expect to complete, but I didn't? Is this still an important goal of mine? I love that question because that's true so much. There's so many situations in life where I want to do X, Y, Z. In fact, I just thought of one. I know what's in my 2021 review. I know what I said I was going to do in 2022. And then if you ask me now, and I didn't, is that still an important goal of mine? No, not at all, which is why I didn't do it. I got partway into it and I realized this isn't how I want to be spending my time. And I just ejected from it. So it's a great question to kind of help go, do you need to re-up on those goals, or is it something that you just need to eject from and move on?
Yeah.
How can I make future follow through more likely? What are the least valuable ways I'm spending my time? Anything I should have said no to? And why? How can I prevent myself from continuing to spend my time in this way? Have my goals or priorities shifted in the last 3 months? There's a ton of questions here, and we don't have to go through them all. You should download it. You should work through this on yourself, on your own. It's fantastic stuff. But what are your biggest wins? What did I learn from each? Where were my time, attention, and energy best spent? How can I double down in these areas? Where could my time, attention, and energy have been allocated more effectively? How can I make this a reality? And then after that, it just goes into specific plannings of, what is your North Star? What is the thing you're aiming at in each of these areas each year, or this coming year? What are your milestones? How will you know you're making success? So if your goal is to, bench press 1 billion pounds, then you know that by June, you've got to be doing this. And by September, it's got to be like this. And, you can easily break it down. Some things are a little more nebulous, but that it's still good to try and work through it. Give yourself some action steps of things you can do.
Yeah.
And close it out. After all of this, you've done all this planning. This is my favorite part. If I had to accomplish all of my goals for the next decade in the next year, what would I do? By shrinking that time horizon down, not leaving it nebulous, not leaving it wide open, going, no, you have a year. That thing you wanted to do, you have 1 year to make it happen.
That's one of those questions that brings me right back to my initial kind of overarching goal for the year.
Yeah.
And that's doing more subtraction than addition.
Oh, I like that. More subtraction than addition.
I just don't know how, if you look at what you've just written out over however long it took you to complete this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you hit that question and you say, there's no way I can accomplish a decade's worth of this stuff in a year. Then
I think that's part of what it does is it helps you to go, ooh, that's not really as important as I thought it was. These 10 things I want to do in the next decade, I can't do all 10 of them. I'm only going to do this one. And so if I had 1 year to do it, this is the one I would focus on. It helps to prioritize. And don't let this sort of thing, this is to everybody, don't let this sort of thing be a taskmaster or a slave driver. This is about having something to aim at. And when you write it down, it's real and it's on paper and there it is. And you can see that you didn't do the thing you said you were going to do, but don't get overwhelmed by that. This is just a piece of paper. And the great thing is, like the thing from 2021 that I started doing partway into the year, and I went, I don't want to do this. This isn't important to me. That's okay. Just because you wrote it down doesn't mean you can't change it. And you should change it, but you're never going to figure it out if you don't start moving towards something.